Time now for On the Radar. We're back with Allan Small, Senior Investment Advisor at the Allan Small Financial Group with IA PrivateWealth. And Allan, you're not the only one alone on this. We're looking at the U.S. Inflation coming out, and it seems like it's going to be around 3 again, but we haven't seen any indicators otherwise. Any concerns?
Not really any concerns, and I think the fact that they've already had their December rate announcement, they cut rates. I think this is going to be more perhaps verifying or verification of what they've done. If we do see a lower inflation rate, I think that will be justification for them cutting rates. And also, it's the first number we're going to see towards next year, right? We're going to get another rate announcement in January. We'll get another inflation number in January. We'll get more jobs data. So there'll be a lot more data coming out. So this is kind of maybe a look back, even though it's an accurate or a more recent number, a November number. But overall, I just think that probably won't matter as much as other numbers we've seen in the past, just because it's one of those things where the data came out after the Fed's announcement. So we'll see how it goes. It could move markets if it moves one way or the other more than expected, but I'm not really anticipating a lot of movement.
And it not gotten comfortable with it, but people, it almost feels like they've said, okay, this is what inflation's running at right now. But it's starting to wear when it's running at 3% for this long.
Yeah, and one of the things that, the President Trump, he talks about inflation, tariffs don't cause inflation, and prices are not running hotter. And, obviously many of us disagree, because even though, yes, inflation, you might even see inflation come down 2.5, 2.4 in that range eventually in the U.S. In Canada, we're at just above 2%. But that's 2% on top of the 2% last year, on top of the 3% the year before. And when you go back far enough, back in 2022, you're talking 6-7%. You very rarely see prices come down. It's only by how much are they increasing by. And that's really why people today are finding it difficult, right? When you see groceries up 5% on the most recent Canadian inflation data, that hurts. That hurts people. And if obviously your income is not matching the increase, then you have issues. And we talk a lot about those that invest versus those that don't. And you can see clearly those that have investments, those that have been investing over the last many years, they tend to do a lot better in these times of higher costs than those that just living paycheck to paycheck, obviously. So, it just lends itself to, you want to put aside some money for your future and have that as a safety net should prices like we're seeing over the last few years start to move higher.
What number might move the markets, or kind of either way? Like if it was 2.8 or if it was 3.2?
Yeah, I think.
Is it like a couple of points? Is that what?
Yeah, I think if you get a couple of points to the down or to the upside above that 3 mark, I think if it comes in 2.9, 3.1, it's roughly that 3%. But if you were to get something closer to 2.7 and in that range, I think that would be obviously a fantastic number. Then you would hear the president probably talking about putting the pressure on for Jerome Powell and the Fed to cut rates early in the year. And if it goes the other way, the pressure will be under the president will be under more pressure to lower tariffs. A lot has not been made out of the cuts that he's made recently to tariffs on things such as coffee and bananas and some food items. And I thought the media would definitely pick up more on that. But he seemed to skirt by that. But he's definitely mindful of it. There's no doubt that he's watching his approval rating on the economy, which is, as we said earlier, somewhere around 36%. So definitely a number that the president and the administration will be watching.
And any other economic data coming out that we should be? There's been so much coming out. I'm trying to keep, and we're getting some from October, some from September coming. Is there any other economic data, or is this the one that we want to watch?
This is the one you want to watch. I think the jobs number we received the other day out of the U.S. was also a key number. Again, I think. Right now markets are always trying to find, markets are always trying to find a catalyst, right? And here we are the last couple of weeks of the year. After today's number, there really isn't any more data, in my opinion, that's going to move the markets too much. And I think the market right now is lacking a catalyst to move higher, in my opinion. Perhaps that seasonal factor will kick in, maybe a Santa Claus rally. I was hoping for a bit of a melt higher as we move along, the path of least resistance being to the upside. Unfortunately, the last few days, it seems like the path of least resistance is to the downside. Hopefully that can turn around. We had Micron earnings last night, were exceptional, actually blowout numbers. Yep. And that's moving tech stocks and NASDAQ and the overall S&P today. So we'll see how it goes. But overall, I think we're in for the gains that investors have up until now, you're probably going to come in somewhere around there. I don't anticipate much in the way of movement. Of course, if there's a geopolitical event or something, that will move markets. But if everything stays status quo, I think we'll all come in and hopefully have a happy new year.